Hello wonderful people, welcome back to Coffee Over Apples. My name's Steph, and you're probably wondering why my shelves look a little bit more disheveled than usual. Other than the fact that I filmed a 2020 bookshelf tour, I've decided that it is time to get rid of the poop under my shoe, the stain on my shirt at an interview, and the gum in my hair. That is 2020. So, welcome to a book unhaul video.
It could change the world.
How many books am I getting rid of here? Hold on. 27 books we are getting rid of. I could not possibly hold both of these stacks up by myself. So I will attempt to do something for a thumbnail. Thumbnail. Okay, so we've got a lot of ground to cover because I'm trying to clear space before I do a major book haul for my birthday on January 9th. So I'm getting rid of a ton of books. I'm thinking about making this a yearly thing, like a yearly purge, maybe a once a year purge. Without further ado, let's get started. Book number one that is going away. It is going to be More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. Now, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy this book. I think I ended up giving it maybe 4 stars. I had a lot of fun with it, but I'm never gonna reread this again. It would probably do a lot better on either the shelf at a school or, you know, for a younger audience. Yeah, so I'm just gonna pass this along and hopefully it finds a better home. I've learned over this year that YA is not really my thing. YA is kind of like a hit or a miss for me. So although this was a good YA reading experience, and I do suggest that other people read this, I'm never gonna read it again. It's fine. Elevation by Stephen King, otherwise known as the one Stephen King book that is not a horror, but still won the horror section for a Goodreads Choice Award pick. This is actually a novella, and I have to say, I'm a little bit torn about getting rid of this one because, I mean, the cover is just so pretty. Look how reflective this is. It was a novella. It was more of like a fantasy novella. It was slightly supernatural, I guess. I don't know, but it was definitely not a horror, and it should have never won that section at the Goodreads Choice Awards year. What was that? 2018? 2019? 2018? 2017? I don't know. Whatever year this came out, shouldn't have won, which is just a testament to the Goodreads Choice Awards being a poorly directed popularity contest. So even though Stephen King is one of my favorite authors, this one is not doing it. One Second After. Okay, so full disclosure, I DNF'd this book. I did not finish it. I'm pretty sure I only got maybe like, oh wait, there's a bookmark in here. I got 28 pages in before I DNF'd this book. Here is why. I know that this is a really popular book about like post-apocalyptic or like a apocalyptic scenario in which an EMP takes out all electricity within the United States, and great and stuff, but my god, the first 28 pages were like torture because it was just like, yeah, we're in America. America. But did you hear about America? And it's like, I get it. We're in America. Yes, all-American novel. I get it. I'm American. But holy crap, can we talk about something else? Can we talk about what's happening? Nope, it's just like, here's a white guy living in his suburban town. He's all-American. He loves America. Everyone loves America. America's about to get attacked. America. And it was just like, I can't deal with it. Another Stephen King. This one is called End of Watch. I have 2 copies of this. If you saw from my bookshelf tour, so I don't need 2 copies of this. I went to go see him give a lecture on writing a couple years ago, and everyone who went to the event got a free copy of his new book. So, I mean, I don't need 2 of them. Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. Is this a surprise to anyone? Something that I've learned on BookTube is that when I first started months ago, earlier in 2020, I was really careful with my reviews, and I feel like even though I thought I was being honest, I wasn't giving my full negative opinion as I reflect on that, because when I first reviewed this, I knew that there were problematic elements in this, but I remember not wanting to step on anybody's toes who actually liked this book, and so I didn't really address that, but I'm addressing it right now. That makes this trash. This actually, I don't know what Rainbow Rowell was thinking, because there are some really racist moments within this book, you know, and I get it that she was trying to show like it's America in the 1980s. There was a lot more racism, there was a lot more things that were socially acceptable back then that are not acceptable now, but that did nothing for the story because it was never addressed. This is a YA romance. Our 2 main characters, one of them is white and the other one is light-skinned Asian, and they just make racist comments. I mean, one of the characters makes racist comments, and it is never talked about, and it's kind of just accepted, like, oh, this is how it was, and I mean, if you're gonna bring it up, at least handle it, but it did nothing for the story. So, totally unacceptable racism in this book. I am completely just, yeah, no. This one might break some hearts. I don't know. But if you're familiar with my channel, it is not a surprise that The Children of Blood and Bone was not a book that I enjoyed. I actually ended up giving this 1 star. I thought about doing a rant review on it, but I just don't want to. It bothered me, but not to the degree that 13 Reasons Why did. That book really bothered me, which is why I did my cooking rant review. I took my anger out while beating on a pizza, but I just didn't like any of the relationships in here. To this day, I still feel like the scenes in here copied Star Wars Episode 7, which came out the year prior to this release, and it's to me, there's way better fantasy. If you want more fantasy written by persons of color, I feel like there's better books out there. And if you're not following Seji is a Black booktuber who gives all kinds of recommendation videos, really, really good ones. So I'm gonna leave Seji's channel link below, because there's other creators who have way better recommendations, in my opinion, than this one. But yeah, I just was not feeling this. More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, a collection of horribly boring, not scary stories that you probably shouldn't tell ever to anyone at any time, in any setting. The Walking Dead, The Rise of the Governor. This is the first novel in the Walking Dead novel series that came out a really long time ago. I read this back when I was a huge fan of The Walking Dead. I mean, I still am a fan of The Walking Dead. I don't like the last season ever since Rick is gone. And I don't know what they tried to do with my boy Negan, but I'm not feeling it. So Walking Dead has taken a nosedive for me, and I don't ever intend to reread this book. I might reread the comic books, but rereading the novels, I don't plan to. This next one should not be a surprise to anyone, because this author and I have never gotten along. We might never get along. I just don't think we're meant to be together. Even though me and his dad have a thing, we don't. And that's Joe Hill, because I love Stephen King, but Joe Hill, his son, is also a horror writer, and every single book that I have read by Joe Hill, this is I've read 4 Joe Hills, and yeah, none of them were scary. None of them did anything for me. The premise of this was so good. This was like a disease that when you catch it, it sets your body on fire because your body temperature just skyrockets past a normal fever, and then you just kind of explode into flames. And it sounded really cool, but there were certain aspects of his writing that were just so boring. Our main character was so boring, and her obsession with Mary Poppins wasn't even cute past a certain point. It was like, I get it. You keep making movie and music references because that's what your dad does all the time. Why are you doing it? It's not who you are. Be original. And then, yeah, none of the characters I liked. It was really boring. The villain in the first half of the book, I mean, like, how did you not see that coming? How? It was the most obvious thing. Like, I was bored. I DNF'd it. I did read another graphic novel recently that wasn't even written by Joe Hill, but was like part of a new line of graphic novels that he's putting together, and it sucked, and he didn't even write it. I guess because he picked it, it sucked. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not even gonna torture myself anymore. I don't know what it's gonna take for me to pick up a Joe Hill again. It might be a punishment from my TBR jar. Okay. If the lighting and position and everything looks slightly different, it's because my battery died. So let's keep going. This one was a more recent purchase, and it makes me kind of sad to get rid of this, but Phoenix Extravagant. I had really high hopes for this book, and it's not a bad book. I definitely suggest that you read this, especially if you're looking for something to fit a prompt for the Queer Lit Readathon. I think that this would be a really good choice. Our main character uses the pronoun they, them, so it's actually like fantastical. I picked it up because it was a pick for my sci-fi book club that I'm in. And my other book club members really loved it. Unfortunately, I didn't, and that's okay. Everyone's gonna have differentiating opinions. So this one, I don't see myself rereading it anytime in the future. And even though I felt seen by the art aspect of this, yeah, it's just not a favorite. I'm not gonna reread it. It didn't really do much for me. I really love the cover art though. It makes me sad that I'm getting rid of this, but that's okay. This one also might be a surprise to a lot of people because I know everyone really loves this book, and I kind of really liked it too, but The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. What do I have to say about The Turn of the Key? I liked it. I've recommended this book many times. I still recommend it to many people. I might just gift this to someone who I know likes to read. So this is like one of those books where, as a booktuber or someone who reads a lot, you probably have people in your life who are like, hey, person who reads a lot, I'm a person who doesn't read a lot. Can you recommend me a book? And if they say that they like mystery stuff, this is a great place to start for someone who's trying to get into adult like horror or thriller books, thriller, mystery, suspense books. This is a great, fantastic place to start. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, but I know the mystery. Like, I don't see myself rereading this again in the future because, I mean, I'll get nothing out of it. I feel like I might not get anything out of it. The story's kind of seared in my mind from the level of enjoyment that I had while reading this, but yeah, I'm never gonna crack this open again, so I'd rather it go to a home for someone who's going to appreciate this, someone who's going to show this the love that it deserves, because I read it once and I'm not gonna pick it up again. Which probably means that maybe I shouldn't purchase mystery thriller books. Maybe I should just borrow them from my library instead, because once I know the mystery, I'm not gonna read it again because I already know the answer. So yeah, this was a learning lesson. Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. I love Cormac McCarthy. His writing is fabulous. I've been wanting to read No Country for Old Men for a really long time. However, this book, I gave it a 2-star. This book is so gory and just, you know when something is just so messed up that it makes you physically ill. And that's strange coming from me because I'm a horror reader. I love horror, I love gore, I love like reading messed up things. But I like reading them when they have a purpose. And this had no purpose to me. Like, I get the story, I get that we're following these guys and they're kind of paid to go out and scalp Native Americans, and they're kind of like Native American hunters, and it was showing this really nasty aspect of a part of history within American history. And I get that it was highlighting that and just like what it means to be the most bottom of the barrel human that exists, that they do exist, and that we need to acknowledge that that does exist. And I got it. But it was just, how many pages was this? Oh my god, it was 300 pages of just disgusting, pointless, horrible things happening to all these innocent people. And if you know my triggers are harm to animals, because I'm an animal lover, and small children. I do not take harm to babies and little kids very easily. Breaks my heart. But I'll still rate a book really high even if it has that in it, because if it's a horror book, I'm expecting bad things to happen that are going to make me uncomfortable. And so if that happens once or twice in a book and it makes me uncomfortable, okay, then I feel like the author achieved their goal. I'm uncomfortable. It's a horror book. I expected that. But it was non-stop in here. Like, I feel like Cormac McCarthy literally said, I'm gonna write a book and it's gonna have everything that Steph hates in the world about humanity and the things that will make her most upset, and put it in a book. And that's what this is. So, I will never read this again. I have no intention of reading this again, unless someone forces me to. But I do not recommend this for anyone. I'm sure there's someone out there who's going to enjoy it. I'm sure if I go to Goodreads that someone will have given this a 5-star, and that if I ever do a reading 5-star reviews of my least favorite books video, that this will be one of the books that I look at. But I despise this book. Yeah, so it's going bye-bye. And it was a gift. I feel really bad. But I'm sorry. I can't. It makes me want to puke. Just, even though the cover's so pretty, it's so pretty, and I love the author, but my god, he did such a good job of making me uncomfortable. So, it's not the book. It's me. It's me. I think. I don't know. But I don't want it. How about the Epic of Gilgamesh? I really dislike this book too. I read this recently, and it is an erotic fiction. It is the oldest book known to mankind. Actually, not the oldest book, the oldest story, because the tablets that they were written on date back to like, what is it, 4,500 years ago, 4,500 BC. I don't remember. It's the oldest story ever found, but I hated it. It was the most misogynistically disgusting thing I've ever read, and I expected nothing less of it. It is not the fault of the translator. The translator did an amazing job, considering that a lot of the tablets have been lost over history. So the story is kind of like really incomplete, but it's not her fault. And she did a great job of translating. But I have no intention of ever reading this again either. And if I need to, I'll just borrow it from my library. I don't want to own it. The very first book that I ever reviewed on BookTube, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. Please don't torture yourself by watching that video, because that's a very old video. It was before I had this camera, before I had this microphone. Those were dark days. It was the beginning of 2020. It's as dark as it's going to foreshadow. So don't watch that video and don't read this book. This book sucked. It's supposed to be advice to get out of your creative block, and this guy, like, he's just a horrible person, in my opinion. I mean, the analogies he makes in here about marriage and it's just, I have nothing good to say about this book. I have nothing good to say about this author. And yeah, I don't want to give him any more airtime than I have to, so goodbye. Next is this book that I know nothing about because I randomly bought this at Borders, and Borders has been closed down for over a decade, so this book is really old. I'm not interested. I know it's set in Japan. I tried reading the back. I can't even remember what the back's about. That's how uninterested I am. It's called The Sword and the Chrysanthemum, The Journey of the Heart by Susan Scharfman. Yeah, and I just don't care. This one is an artist workbook, and this is actually pricing and ethical guidelines. So this is a really good book, a really good resource. However, it's highly outdated. I mean, this is a 2010 edition, I want to say. It's a good resource for any graphic designers or artists because it talks about writing contracts, it talks about pricing, how to set your value, it talks about copyright. It's fantastic, and I definitely suggest anyone who's in a creative field to get a copy of this book, but get a more updated version because the laws have changed so much since this book was published. I'm pretty sure this was published in either 2010 or 2009, and I will tell you right now, this is 2010 version. I mean, we're about to be in 2021. The copyright laws have changed so much since 2010, so I'm just gonna get rid of this one. Hopefully someone gets some helpful information out of it, maybe about writing contracts and stuff, and I'm gonna get myself an updated version. A vegan cookbook, because we have the internet now. I'm sorry, cookbook. You were nice while you lasted. The 6 Wives of King Henry VIII. I am a Tudors fan. I love that TV show that was on HBO a while back. But I have no intention of reading this book. I mean, I like history. I like learning about history, and I intend to keep all of my art history books that I have. But this one in particular is like a thick textbook, and I just would rather watch a documentary. Sorry. The next one is for an art teacher's book. This is more for like elementary school teachers. I mean, I've gotten some nice resources out of it, but I don't think there's anything else I can do in here. It talks about embossing and paint and collaging and stuff. I don't teach elementary school, so I don't really need this anymore. I'm sure there's another teacher who could use this way more than I can. And then lastly, a book about the history of Buddhism. I mean, I have a couple other books, or read a couple other books that are a bit better than this, so. Alright, wonderful people, that is it for my 2020 book purge, my book unhaul. I plan on doing an unhaul at the end of every year. So like I said, for my birthday, I'm gonna bring in a whole bunch more books. Hopefully in 2021, I will read most of them and then get rid of the ones that I don't want or find a new home for them when I'm done. So I'm going to be donating all of these books. My local library takes donations, and also we have a lot of like the little libraries, the little mini libraries that are around town in the street where people can take and give books as they need. I am going to sanitize these before I put them into the little library, but I hope that you enjoyed this purge. I am sorry if I got rid of any of your favorites, and let me know how you are preparing for your reading plans in 2021. Until next time, guys, I post videos every Wednesday and Saturday. I'll see you later. Bye!
What's it making, Mr. Wonka? Mr. Wonka worked the factory.